Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats.
Hello and welcome to today's episode. Today we have a returning guest, actually a returning couple of guests. We are chatting with Dolly and Eddie, who are the owners of Delloons. We talked to them, it was just about when I was due with my baby, so almost a year ago. And since then, they've also had another baby. And in the last episode, we talked about how they were kind of renovating their basement and running their business out of their home. Since then, they have decided to move into a boutique. So they are moving into a brick and mortar in order to get some of that separation between family and work. They really needed to create that boundary. And I love in this interview that they openly admit that this might not work. They're excited to try it, but totally understand that it could be a mistake. They might move back into their home. So it's fun kind of hearing them process in real time why they're making these choices, the freedom it's going to give them, the risks that they're taking, and they get into the nitty-gritty of numbers, which I always love. And they give some very practical tips about what to plan for. When people say run your numbers, what does that mean? What numbers are we running? What are we calculating? What new costs are they going to incur when they move into a brick and mortar? So a really great interview, always fun catching up with these friends. And just like all of our guests this month, they have been hand selected by our curating sponsor, which is TUFTEX Balloons. And TUFTEX is a family owned and operated business. It's the only manufacturer making latex balloons in the USA and Canada. And TUFTEX is committed to providing premium quality products and building stronger balloon community through educational initiatives to support the growth of balloon professionals. Be sure to look for TUFTEX Balloons at your favorite distributor. And just like our other guests this month, Dolly and Eddie will be returning to the TUFTEX Experience. They're talking a little bit about what it was like last year versus this year, giving us some behind the scenes info and, just talking candidly about their business and what's taken place since we chatted with them last. And I should also mention that if you ever hear a guest and you're like, I like them, I want to hear more from them. If you go to thebrightballoon.com, all of our episodes are sorted by guests. So you can go and find more interviews from a particular guest. Or if anything, you can find their information, maybe their website, their Instagram. So that is a huge resource that I don't really ever talk about, but it is over on thebrightballoon.com if you ever want to search episode by guest. All right, real quick, I just want to make a mention of our bonus episodes. If you are looking to support the podcast for $5 a month, you can sign up for bonus episodes and get an additional episode every single week. That really helps support me and the show. And let's take a quick break, head over to the U-Glue hotline for some great advice that sticks, and then get into our newest episode with our friends Dolly and Eddie, the owners of Delloons. Welcome to the U-Glue hotline, where we discuss great advice that sticks, brought to you by Pro Tapes. If you have a question or some great advice to share, click the link in the show notes to call in and leave a voicemail.
Hi, Sarah. My name is Natalia. I am the owner of Balloon Bash LLC here in Port St. Lucie, Florida. And my tip today is for anybody who is also looking into getting started with the Profit First book, or who has started with the Profit First book and is moving forward with opening their accounts. I've been listening to your podcast for a while, and I finally read the book, and I'm super excited to get my financials in order. And I actually found out that Truist Bank, for anybody who has one near them, offers free checking accounts for businesses with no minimum requirement and no fees. And I was able to set up all 5 of my accounts at Truist. And they also even offer invoicing and other services for their clients too. So I thought that was really awesome. I have a consultation call with one of their bankers to see if it's the right thing for me. and to see if I would possibly transition from using Square to their on service. But either way, I thought that it was really cool that they have the free accounts, and I thought I'd let anybody know that's also trying to sort their financials the way that the Profit First book teaches. Thank you. Bye.
ProTapes is a leading manufacturer of specialty tape products like ProGaff, Pro Artist Tape, and our favorite balloon tape, U-Glue, which helps you create amazing balloon arrangements and decorations in less time. You can save 5% on U-Glue when you buy directly from Having a Party using code BRIGHT at checkout.
All right, welcome back, Dolly and Eddie. You have birthed a human since the last time you were on this.
Hey, Sarah, how are you?
I am doing wonderful, and it looks like you guys are growing in multiple ways. We're going to talk about your business, your new baby, growth in your business, and kind of all the things. And then we're going to wrap up talking about the TUFTEX Experience, which you are going to be part of once again. In case someone missed our first interview, give us a quick introduction of who you are.
Sure.
Hi everyone, I'm Dolly.
And I'm Eddie.
And we are
Delloons.
We are
You love
I love your little tagline, how you guys are so in sync. It's the best.
we are a balloon business based out of the tri-state area. We're primarily in New Jersey, but we service New York and neighboring states. We offer a ton of services, anything that's balloon related, essentially we do. From classical decor, organic, centerpieces, helium, deliverable arrangements, some drop and go options we've now kind of dipped into as well. So we're offering anything that you need balloon related, we got you. And then we have some rentals here and there, but not really a rental company, so to speak. I'm sure, I feel like that's every balloon business.
every balloon business,
Yeah.
We also teach. We're instructors. We've done a few conferences and we do classes as well. What else?
Yeah.
We started our business back in 2020.
Okay.
So we've been in business since 2020.
And we weren't balloon artists from birth. We actually,
Yeah.
I actually am a social worker by trade. I have a master's degree in social work, and I used to practice as a clinical coordinator in a courthouse. So very different work. And Eddie is a retired officer.
It's I have a lot of titles. By background in education, I was in school to be a math teacher.
But you never taught?
I never went in a classroom, but I do have my certification. I became a police officer right out of college. I recently retired just a year ago. I suffered an injury at work, and unfortunately, I had to cut my career short. So I did an early retirement, and now I'm a full-time helper. We're full-time in the business now, the two of us.
Cool. All right. And last time we spoke, you had recently, I think, moved into this nice new big house where
Yes,
you were gonna do balloons out of. But then I'm seeing on Instagram you have a store now. Like, what happened, guys? Where?
Honestly, I don't even know.
I don't know.
I was pregnant. I don't know.
Life happened. We've run our business from home since the beginning. And there is a lot of conveniences that come with that. But also, we're going through what a lot of business owners call growing pains.
Yeah.
Where the space was good enough, but we're in a point where we need employees. And do I want people coming in my house? Not really. Getting into a point where the business was growing and we needed to also dedicate time to the family. Now, being an entrepreneur is a 24/7 type of job, but you also have to get a little bit for the kiddos and for the family, because obviously you do this for your family. You should at least spend time with them,
Right.
So we needed that separation. And to be honest, this boutique happened.
Very sudden.
It was meant to be. I want to say that.
Yeah. So I guess I can say a little bit about our standpoint. I think last time we spoke, we might have mentioned that we never wanted to take the business out
of the house. Yeah.
Let alone have a retail business, because that's like a whole different business model in and of itself.
Right.
So I think over the last couple of months, we've kind of just been struggling with keeping family time, and business time. And saying that in the most loving way. Like, we love that our kid has access to us all the time.
Oh,
but
yeah.
also she has access to us all the time.
Yeah.
So that
Well,
means
and I
that
think it
like
goes the other way too. It's like my mind is preoccupied all the time, or it's like it's kid time,
exactly
but I'm just gonna run out to my shop real quick to like check
real
on
quick to check.
inventory, and it's so it
Yeah,
Correct.
it goes both ways.
Correct.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we were kind of struggling with that over the last year and just kind of saying, okay, maybe we do need a space. So we looked around in our town where we live, and there were a couple of options available. We went out and looked at places, and we were like, okay, this doesn't make sense financially,
The place
because
that we have looked
the
at, yeah,
place
it
that we had
didn't
looked
make
at.
sense.
So it would require a lot of like an investment up front, right? So like they needed to be built out, the spaces,
Was it more
and
of
then
like
also
a warehouse model, like with a big garage door and a
So no,
no, it
there
was
were
all
retail spaces, but they were like down to the bone where we had to completely outfit the space. Obviously, the owners were giving us time to do that and giving us rent back, but we didn't want to
right, but to
have
throw
to
like 50 grand into a rental space is a lot.
exactly.
exactly and wait 3 months because we got construction going on. It's just not something that we wanted to do at the
Yeah.
time.
So then I was just like, you know what? Forget about it. We're not going to think about it anymore. It's not in the books right now. Let's move on. So fast forward, October, I give birth, and Eddie starts taking like he's doing all our jobs because I finally was able to kind of let go a little bit of that creative process. Even though he would like text me pictures of me like, does this look good? And I'd be like, fix here, fix there, but from my bed, and he's like out on the field. So good.
Yeah, so I started going out.
So
Doing that.
he saw that a place became available around like 5 minutes from our house. And he
Okay.
was like, let's call and see. I'm gonna call and see. He didn't even tell me. He came back and he's like, hey, we have an appointment tomorrow to go see a space. And I was like, what are you talking about?
You still
Like,
thinking about this
I
stuff?
mean, literally, and I was like even upset. I was like, are you really still engaging in this idea? Like, we're fine. Let's just keep going with the way we're going. But he's like, oh, like let's just go see it and see what it's about. The rent seems to make sense. Like it's not a lot of money. So let's try it out because then at least we'll get that individual time for the business, even if we don't do a retail space, right? Because we at that point we were just like maybe we'll just use it as our office,
Right,
and that's it. So then the day of, I was like, I don't want to go. I just fed the baby. I'm tired. I want to sleep. And he's like, okay, I'll go by myself. So he starts getting dressed, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go with you. I'll get dressed. It's 5 minutes away from the house.
Oh, I'm like such a sucker for real estate. There's no way you could keep me away. I'd be like, I'm going.
I was just like not into this idea.
Yeah.
I was just like, it's done.
To finish the story, so we did wind up going together, and I think that's probably what sealed the deal because the landlord happened to be also started out as
as a couple.
So she really connected with us being a couple. They started back in the 70s.
And they built like a bunch of generational wealth. So like
she really connected with our story,
the storyline,
and that helped us, get the space with all the right terms, So it was. That's why I say it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Because she gave us the key and she gave us like 2 months for free. It was like she did really.
But when I tell
really
you,
well.
she was like, I prayed that you guys would say yes, and I was like, oh, okay. We prayed that you'd say yes.
Because when we went and we discussed the negotiation, I said, I'll get back to you. Let me do my numbers.
Yeah.
One thing I do is I don't make decisions on the spot. Like I'm not the guy that goes to the car dealership and buys the car that day.
Okay.
I'll take it for a test drive. I look at the numbers and I'll go back home and I make the decision with a call. I don't want to have buyer's remorse. Yeah. So I like to think about it, do my numbers. So we came back home that night and I run all the numbers with all the possible expenses. I mean, our overhead, it was like 4x from what we have now because we were at home. So I wanted to do the numbers, make sure that something's sustainable. The business is going to be able to do it. We're going to go on a lease and we're going to be able to sustain this for this long. And I did all my numbers. And once I was convinced that we could carry the expenses and the business was going to do well, that's when I said to her, all right, we're good to go. I did the numbers. And we called her back maybe like a day or two after, right? Yeah. And she was like, oh, thank God you called me. Honestly, I hadn't even gone back to talk to her officially. She wanted to remove the for rent sign up the window at the store.
Oh, my gosh.
She gave us the key, and the bank was closed the day that we went because it was
it was Veterans Day. It was Veterans Day, so the bank was closed.
We can't give
you. And I was like, I can't give you the deposit. She was like, don't worry about it. Here's the keys. You'll see it tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Wow, you really trust
me. Yeah, it was great. It was amazing.
So it just kind of worked out.
Does it?
And so now, yeah.
Does it give you more space, or is it just the separation you wanted?
So honestly, the space I want to say is about the same as
Okay.
that. Our basement is 1,500 square feet. You know, we
Okay.
have a pretty large basement. And the space that we go in, there is a retail space that's about 1,000 square feet, and then we have a workshop on the basement that is similar to what we have here. That's another like about 600 square feet. So space
And then
wise,
we have like the storage space
is
in the back.
it's about the well, actually, we do have a little more than a home, honestly. Now that I think about it, but in reality, I think the
It's
main
very
point
similar.
is the separation. You
Yeah.
know, having to put clothes on and having in your head that you're going to work. Now, for us, it's a real business. You know, so now we're going to work. And being able to separate that, and when I'm home, I'm home.
I think it's a separation, but also I think a marketing opportunity that we didn't have being at home, because this shop is literally on the main street
It's
of
the
town.
main street. It's literally that's the name of
The
the street.
street is main, like the main street of our town. So
Well, let's take a
um,
quick break and then let's dive into that because, like you said,
yeah,
retail is totally different. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. So I've learned a little bit from people who have been on the podcast, but I'm curious to learn what you guys are learning
Yes.
as you fix this up. So let's take a quick break and then get right back into it. Are you ready to take your balloon business to the next level? Look no further than Having a Party Wholesale, your ultimate destination for all things balloons. Having a Party Wholesale is on the cutting edge of new products that will wow your clients, from top brands like TUFTEX, Jamar, Anagram, Ellie's, Sempertex, Premium Conwin, and introducing Brookloon, a new balloon line created by the Having a Party family. They've got the widest selection to fuel your creativity. Join the successful league of professional balloon artists who shop at havingaparty.com. All right, welcome back. Retail. I don't know anything, you guys. I mean, I like staffing might have to be different. Do you buy a cash register? Like, what are you selling?
We
No,
did.
Like cash
that's
and carry?
funny.
Like, what are you learning? And what are you thinking? You said this is a great marketing opportunity, but there's also like walk-in traffic, I'm assuming. How are you setting this up?
Yeah.
So we're not open yet. We're gonna be opening next month. So we're setting up the space, but we have learned a lot through our setup time. So we did buy a cash register.
Okay.
We
So we do have a cash register. And I learned I did a lot of research for what systems we were gonna use at the store, as far as like sort of like the POS.
Right.
So
we
we are hoping to attract some of those walk-in clients that make
correct.
purchases either for on the go, so like, oh, within 15 minutes or so, right? Because obviously we have to blow up and do the design. So 15 to 30 minutes, and we will have like a small little waiting area. It's a really cute like setup. I'm so excited
We're
for
so
it.
excited to show it. The business plan, it's important to talk about like what is it that we're doing it
I'm
for,
over here like,
right?
let's talk about the couches, and we're like,
Yeah, she wants to
and
talk about the
Annie's like,
pink couches.
the business idea.
I mean, it's like it's complete opposite. Like I am not thinking about couches and frames and cute colors. I'm thinking about money. How am I making this rent? How am I paying the bills? How much am I bringing home? Honestly, we take
We divide and conquer.
complete different parts of this deal. She took the whole decoration and everything. She did that on her. I didn't have to think about it. All the construction and logistics behind it, I took care of. So I don't have to worry about her part. She don't have to worry about my part. And I think that makes
That
it
works.
special. But what I was saying about the business model is for people sort of to buy. We're selling balloons again, not a balloon distributor. And
Yeah.
we're not selling Sarah a bag of 11-inch balloons. We're not doing
Yeah.
that. We're selling balloon arrangements and balloon decor. So we hope that, and another thing is, because we're going to be on Main Street, we are hoping to be exposed to a different clientele, meaning people that have perhaps a lower
smaller
budget, a smaller budget, because all the stuff that we are getting through online are a little bit higher budgets. We're not really getting people to come in and buy, $100 arrangement, really.
Yeah.
So we're not really serving that crowd. So our hope is to be able to catch that business at the lower price and at the lower end. That's sort of like the idea that we have.
So I think our goal with the business is really to capture all audiences, and and even after we did the rebranding, Like we kind of like our tagline is just like luxury balloons within reach, like having
Oh,
that
that's cute.
deluxe experience.
Yeah.
So I am interested in bringing balloons to anyone who wants to buy them at any price point, right? So if you have $50, then we can sell you helium balloons, and this is
Yeah.
an option. So the idea is that the client will come in the door, and maybe, you know what? Let me just preface it by saying that maybe this is not going to go as planned, but this is how we're planning.
This is the plan.
Yeah.
So the client can come in the door. There's going to be kind of like a balloon bar where people can see the colors, and then we can show them what they look like inflated. They can pick out their color options, and they could buy an arrangement, whether it's for a future date or for same day, later pickup or delivery. So like I said, there's going to be a small waiting area. People can come in, kind of wait for their arrangement.
And we can
so
also do consultations. So right now we do all our consults over the phone, and we do have folks that they want to come in and they want to see the product and see what things could look like. So we have sort of like a catalog thing so we can show to folks and sit down. I think that there's something about the human connection when you're able to just sit down with somebody. For those larger events, we can schedule a consult at our space where they can come, sit down, have a cup of coffee, and talk and go over what they want for the event. That's
Yeah.
So you mentioned too, like staffing. We're definitely anticipating that the staffing will change, especially because we are out on installations.
Well, that's
well.
always my big question with retail. Like, are you just going to be splitting your time and then you're less available? Like how it's almost like you have to have someone staffing the shop or someone going out and doing installs. You can't be in two places at once.
At once.
Yeah.
Are you bringing someone in, or you have help already, right?
We do.
Yeah.
We do. So we're probably going to have staff. It'll be a mix between us and staff alone.
Or one of us alone.
One of us. The good thing about us is a two-person team. So, I can do a lot of setups on my own. She can go and do setups on her own, and I can manage shop. But we also do have staff. We're not expecting to have the store just run by the two of us and also do all the setups.
Yeah.
It would be so hard to.
I think what will change is that previously our expectations of our staff were different from what they would be now.
The job would be different. The job duties will be different.
Because in the past we've still continued to handle all the creative aspects of the business and all the like development. So we haven't had, like, other than inflation and like prep.
The staff has really been so far for work, like legit come in, do 2-3 hours of inflating, and then go and do a setup with us. So they didn't really do anything outside of that.
Like a bouquet or a helium bunch and da-da-da. So now it'll be more of like training them to sort of be able to build those express things. But the idea really, so we have kind of gone into it just saying like, we're starting this opportunity because it's what we think will suit us. So we're not going to make it into something that's not going to suit us, right? So we're going to kind of test the waters and see what hours will work best in terms of like, do we get any walk-ins in the morning versus in the afternoon? What's really, and then just adjust our schedule around that time.
Because one thing that I said to Dolly is like, we're not a restaurant, right? We're not a business that people need. So we have to be open within the hours that people are going to be able to come into the shop. And like, we don't have to be open 7 to 7. So we are going to be testing the waters with that. And the other thing too is, we don't know if this is going to work. We're talking all this, and we might say to you in a year, Sarah, it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
We're back to the house. But we make sure that our business is able to sustain the expenses. Even, I said to Dolly, even if we don't make any sales at the store, are we able to take on the overhead that increased significantly, and we'll make sure that we're able to cover that.
Right. Well,
we wanted to.
I've even talked to other people who went the retail route because they were like, well, it was the same price as a warehouse hidden in a business park. So the way that they looked at it is like, they just opted to have a big billboard in addition on the front window. And some people did turn to like, by appointment only, but it's like, well, at least I'm visible on the main street and I can have pickups come in. And they weren't even open for that walk-in traffic. I think there's so many different ways you can structure it. You're not changing your business to be making money selling paper plates and birthday candles. Like, to me, that's kind of retail. Maybe you will. Are you going to have some other supplementary items or like just balloons?
The only thing I have considered to this at this point for additional things are greeting cards. Like if you want to get a card, like a birthday card for
An arrangement, a
like
deliverable.
with an arrangement, it could be a deliverable or a pickup. And you can choose your card. So that's the only real option. I think like my main focus has always been balloon work. And so I'm not gonna I'm not right now, we're not really trying to dip into something because I think
and the reality too is when you think about all those added items that people might be able to buy, they're so easy to obtain elsewhere at a price that I probably wouldn't be able to compete, you know?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
so it doesn't really make, like, you couldn't go on Amazon and get a bouquet, you know, delivered to your doorstep. So I'm not competing with Amazon, but you could order cups and things for significantly
In like,
inexpensive.
in
and it'll
everything that
get
you
to
could
you by
possibly want.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly.
So I'm not competing with that
Yeah.
market. So we're not bringing that into the store. But you hit it, like you said what I was trying to say. Thank you. You hit it in the head,
You're welcome.
which is it's a like a workspace, a warehouse, because it was the same cost having it out in the woods where nobody was gonna see me. I'd rather be on the main street that at least they see my name on my phone number and I can get a phone call.
Yeah.
So yes, that's another reason that perhaps we might not get a lot of the walk-in, a lot of that sale, and we'll test that in the first 6 months. But we'll definitely gonna spend the same amount of money because we needed to get out of here anyway.
And I can tell you that the approach we are going with also will help, I think, our business in locally. Like I think a lot of our business comes from New York or different. Like I drive for any installation at any given point an hour.
Okay.
Every single time. So I think I will definitely benefit from that public, like having our store be like out in the main
Visible,
street
yeah.
because people from town will be able to see me. People will be able to come in.
And before we move on and talk about TUFTEX, I want to ask about, you said you ran the numbers and that you have a math brain, and I feel like you guys have a really good kind of approach to all this. Like, it might work, it might not, we don't know. Like, I feel like that's all very healthy. What are some of the things that you were looking at? Like, how long is your lease? And you say, like, I crunched the numbers. I'm like, what numbers? Like, what are we looking at here besides the rent? Because there's other things. So, like, what has given you kind of this reassurance that you can take this on?
So, rent obviously is the most expensive item, right? So we looked at rent, insurance, changed significantly, because we only had what they call professional liability insurance. So it covers us if we have an issue at a setup, but we needed business owner insurance to cover us at the location, a slip and fall, somebody falls in the store.
Gotcha. Because at your home, you have homeowners insurance.
Right.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
So our insurance went from $18 a month to $250 a month, you know?
Okay.
So, insurance, POS system. We also looked at security for the business. Works comp. We do have a works comp insurance policy, but this one is a little bit different because now it's at a commercial space. So utilities, because we were using the same utilities at the house. Now we got to pay separate electric bill.
Yeah, internet.
The internet,
the phone.
Landline.
So, all of those little things. Staffing is different. So our part-time employees' hours was, different.
Yeah.
Our fees that we have to pay for different licenses that now we have to get because we have a commercial space. We have to acquire 2 different licenses here in our town and the state. So that was an additional expenditure. Different permits that we need to pull and renew. Our lease, I know you asked that, is 1 year, and that's what I wanted to do. That's another thing. Most commercial leases are like 3 to 5 years.
Right.
I didn't want to make that commitment.
The landlord, she was just like, you guys just want to try it out? Take a year.
And you know what? This lady's an entrepreneur too. She had like a cafeteria, like a coffee shop type of thing.
Okay.
Back in the 70s, and then they started doing real estate, and she owns a lot of real estate in our town. But she said, you know what? I said to her, what's the minimum list you can give me? And she goes, why don't we do a year? Because you're going to test the business. It might not work.
Yeah.
I don't want to lock you in for 3 years. So I appreciated that significantly, Yeah. So the deposit for the business, that's another thing you got to look at. Yeah. So those are the numbers that we looked at.
And if you're dealing with a real estate,
marketing,
you're going to do a real estate agent.
It's a lot, you guys. You scared me away from doing it.
Yeah.
What?
No, and another thing we looked at, we don't really have right now is a marketing budget. We have a monthly marketing budget that we allowed it for the store because now we're in the main street. Now we got to get known. And the only way to do that is to put a word out there. So we are going to spend some marketing dollars different than we were marketing now. So we're doing some traditional marketing because we're trying to hit the local market, and also we have to educate folks on what we do. So we're gonna be sponsoring a lot of like the local events, like bringing setups to like the first one we're doing is for New Year's Eve. So we're gonna do like a nice huge photo op.
The M&M factory is in our town. It was like that's from our town. So they started last year like a lentil drop, the ball drop, whatever.
Okay.
Similar to what they do in New York City, but small. It's like, in the suburbs.
So last year they had like 14,000 attendees, and
wow,
we didn't go.
They're expecting more this year. So we're gonna do like a nice big backdrop for people to take pictures. Because that's also into our marketing budget, because we want to hit all those local business and local events where people are coming out so they can see what we do and hopefully acquire some of that business.
I also am spending time doing like marketing going to these events. So there's a lot of holiday events going on right now that are being put together by like the Elks Club and these people and here. And so we like went out to those events and introduced ourselves. And I can tell you right now that a lot of the people in our town have never seen balloon work the way that I've shown them, like, oh, here's some of our work. And they're like,
what is that? That we have to do, and it's educate our clients,
Yeah. Well, cool. That's really, that's exciting. And also you have a newborn baby. So you have a 4-month-old. Did you feel like that sped up this situation, or do you think the timing was just kind of random, or once you had a second were you just like, we got to get these balloons out of the house? Like what's the timing with that? Just a coincidence?
It is. I think it was coincidental. I don't think that. I mean, we didn't plan to go out of
this time. It was kind of random.
And honestly, it's been harder to do at this time because I have a 2-month-old baby. Like he requires a lot of my attention. I'm breastfeeding. I'm like doing all these things. So
wait, did you say 2? Why did I think 4?
Yeah.
2? That's a brand new baby.
It's a brand new baby.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
It's never the right time for anything. When you think about it, you're like, oh my God, I have a baby. I shouldn't do it now. And then 6 months go by, and then a year goes by. Next thing you know, you have a toddler and you still haven't done it.
Yeah.
So, for us, when the time comes and, the opportunity presented itself and we said, all right, let's do it, pull the trigger, we could do it.
I think the key thing to note, though, Sarah, is that we are able to do this because we were confident in the income that we are also getting from our online platform. So we do get a lot of business that comes in through our Instagram. We have an established business. We do teaching. We do a lot of different things. And so those numbers are beefed up enough where it could carry us in some respect.
And that's important
when it comes to
obviously we can't really talk about all details, but we do have some contracts with some companies that we have a fixed income coming in every month, and that really helps us be able to make this decision. Okay, this is something that we can do.
Yeah, I think it's really good that you shared that. I'm in the same boat, and I think I want to share numbers with people because I think it helps. Like when I throw out how much I pay someone, or I throw out what I pay myself, like I think that's helpful for people who are listening. But I also want to be very clear that it's like, I'm making money from the podcast. So like that is also part of the equation. I think there are people that don't really put that whole puzzle together. And I think if you're just looking at Instagram, people think like, oh, well, they're in a town smaller than me and they have this huge workshop and they have all this staff. It's like, you just don't know how people are making their money. Sometimes it's a supplemental income from balloons like you and I. Sometimes it's from their husband. Sometimes it's from their pension. Sometimes it's
1,000%.
Their grandpa left them $1 million. Like you have no idea.
100.
That's also why I don't love sharing numbers, actually. I think it is helpful, right? It is helpful, but sometimes people will get into this like rut of compare and contrast. Like, oh, well, I make this much and they make this much. So how can I have... We also have stuff. We have other sources of income. We do real estate.
That's what we do real estate. So there is other avenues where we are obviously,
generating
income.
Right.
And I think it's important. And I've said this before to other people that have approached me and asked me, how were you able to go full time with balloons? And I said, because I diversify my income. I'm not. If I don't get an order this week, we're not gonna die of hunger. I promise.
Yes.
So it's for me, every time I make any of these moves, it's important to, and I go back to my numbers because I want to make sure that I can still feed my family, have a roof over my head. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So we do have various sources of income. It's not
Yeah.
Yeah.
just the balloons,
No,
you
I
know?
think that's really good to talk about. And I think, I mean, I don't think people are being dishonest about it, but I do think people who make a lot of money from teaching feel weird saying that. But it's like but then people who are watching and looking to them for kind of inspiration and motivation, like it can be confusing. But I just think comparing anybody's balloon business is apples and oranges. That's like comparing my mortgage payment on my personal home to your mortgage payment. Like
Yeah.
you never would, because we have different sized families and we live in different states and we have different,
Yeah.
family dynamics and like, but for some reason we all compare balloon businesses, but it's like we compare
Yeah.
nothing else. So it's just,
100%.
yeah, I'm glad you guys mentioned that you make an income from, from elsewhere, and you had
Social
careers
media.
before
Yeah.
balloons, which I'm sure put you financially in a different spot than someone who
Oh,
started
yeah.
doing balloons when they're 18 and they're looking to get into a situation when they're 20 that you guys are in
A
now. Like
hundred
it's
percent.
Yeah.
very different.
100. And one thing that I have said in the past is, and that this is not everybody's case. For us, when we started doing balloons, when we started doing this business, I want to say for like a solid year or two, we didn't touch one dime out of the balloon income.
We saved
Mm.
all that
And
money.
and we made six figures day one. From the first year, we were making six figures. We're not $1 million business. We're not. We haven't hit
We
that
want to
number.
be.
Hopefully one day. But we make a significant amount of money on balloons, and we didn't have to touch it because what you said, we had jobs. So we didn't need it for our daily expenses, and that helped us invest in the business and buy all this equipment
Yep.
and get all this inventory and do all these things because we didn't need it for bills. So everything the balloon business was generating went right back to it. So that, I think, accelerated our process to be where
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah, same. I worked a full-time job the first 10 or 8 years that I had a balloon business. Like,
Wow.
and that was, I mean, amazing being like, I'm tired and I don't need to take a balloon job this
You don't
weekend.
need to
Or
do
like
it. Yeah.
all the balloon money that I made, I poured into the mortgage payment on our house. So it's like when you have
Yeah.
two incomes, I mean, it's hard, man. The hustle is real, but like,
Oh my God.
but it's not the same as just being like, I'm just doing balloons.
Just
Like
started. Yeah.
I definitely did a lot to kind of set myself up on the front end. So now I can do things kind of like what you're doing, where it's like, maybe renting a space isn't the most frugal, profitable choice, but it's like it's quality of life. And that's what I'm paying for at
Correct.
this point. Or, it's like, do
Yes.
I need to pay someone to clean my shop for me, or could I do that myself? Well, I could probably do it myself, but like, I don't want to.
Yes. Do I
Yeah,
want
So
to?
I'm able to like allow
Yes.
someone else
Oh
to
my
do it so
God.
I don't have to.
I think if you don't position your balloon business from the jump as an actual business and you just treat it as a hobby, you can never make those quality of life decisions to make. You're always going to, like, you're going to be underpricing and undervaluing your work. You're going to be busy all the time, but that's it. You're going to be busy and you're not going to see that money. If
Yeah.
you're not pricing your work accordingly and you're not treating your business like a business, you're not going to probably be able to make those choices.
When I make these decisions, I think when we make these decisions, I think one of the things that I think about is the most valuable thing that we have is time. You can never
100%.
get it back, and it is almost priceless. So if there is a task that I can give to somebody else, that could do it for me for a price that I'm able to gain
Okay.
more on that time, then I'd rather do that. So like what you just said, cleaning, if I can pay somebody, just call it $100 to clean my shop, and I don't have to spend 4 hours on my day.
That's another one of the expenses
And,
for
and
the
it's,
store.
yes, cleaning.
Yeah.
And I can make a video on those 4 hours and get paid $2,000, then I'll make the video and I'll pay somebody to clean.
Sure.
See what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah.
So it's just the time. So I that's the way we think about things. So anything that I'm able to just give to somebody else to do, I wouldn't have to put our hands on everything. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
you got to be able to what is the word I'm looking for? Like give things to
Delegate.
people. What is that called?
Delegate.
Delegate. Thank you.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
think even like you had hit on this, and I don't know if this is one of your main points, but like for me it is like staying local is everything, because to my closest city it's an hour, and driving there is an hour, setting it up is, let's say an hour, driving back is an hour, but then I have to go take down, that's an hour, and then an hour back.
Yeah.
Versus in my town, if I can sell a job that's maybe a little smaller, but I'm there and back in 25 minutes at the point I'm
Yes.
at in my
That's it.
life right now, like that has more value for me, if that makes sense. But I'm
1,000%.
1,000%.
but I'm
You know
also
what?
able to say that
1,000%.
because I'm not trying to make money to feed my family. Like there's, like you said, there's enough in the bank, there's enough coming in, there's a spouse, there's so many
And
factors.
support.
But that's why I was curious when you said crunch the numbers. Like that might look really different for other people in terms of what is
Yes.
worth what.
And I 100% agree. I think we live in a social media world, and we can really often get caught up with like the large installs and the beautiful balloons everywhere, right? Which not like I'm not speaking ill of anyone that does those, right? Because I also do large events, but I will say that those consume so much more time. Planning, strategizing, even like pricing it out takes a lot more energy because you're like
Stress, just like mental energy.
1000%. So I always say, like, I rather everyone get like the large events and let me get like 3 60-foot garlands on a Saturday and we're good. I will go do my little gigs, come back. And I think that that's where I'm at right now in my life because I think when I started, I was very, very hungry. When I tell you, I wanted those big events and I was like, I want like that luxury vibe and I want those things. And now I'm just like,
and we've done really large events, right? And I can tell you from experience that you spend a lot more energy making $10,000 on one event than doing 5 events that you make $10,000. It's just on the 5 events are a little smaller. They're almost like plug and play because we've done so many of them, and there's so much thinking going behind it. But in the $10,000 setup, you have to have a whole crew where I got 10 people working and it's just a lot of logistics.
I think in my area, $1,200 is like the sweet spot. It's a big number. It's usually not like a special order. It's usually balloons you pretty much have. It all fits in a van. It's a 1-person delivery. Like for me, that's my sweet spot where it's like I'm not losing sleep, but I'm taking home a big paycheck from it. Like, I love it. I love a $1,000 job.
When you do the math, your profit margins on a smaller event are also larger because now and at a larger event, I'm using more material. I'm probably custom like ordering some stuff or like
whatever. Have more labor.
I have more staff that I have to bring in. So now I have to feed the staff. I have to pay them. So all of that logistical part and then you do the math backwards and you're like,
a couple U-Hauls added in there.
Exactly.
The percentage, the profit margins are smaller the larger the setup it gets, the smaller the profit margin becomes.
Interesting.
You have way more. But and I'm just saying, I think like I'm at a point too where since I have my little ones, I'm valuing a lot more of that time at home where I feel like those smaller gigs, I love them. They're like in and out, not much thinking. It's a standard thing and that's
100%. Well, let's shift gears. Let's take a break and then let's talk about a big event, not yours, but one that you're going to be involved at. TUFTEX Experience is coming back and you guys were at the first one. You'll be at the second one and you are involved designing some decor. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. If you're looking to grow your balloon business through sales and marketing, Balloon Suite is the high-tech toolkit designed just for you. Let's chat with Jeff Kelly, owner of Balloon Suite, to answer one of your sales and marketing questions. All right, Jeff, today we have a question from Couture Events Co. And they are wondering how you get more customers on Facebook.
I think one of the most important things about Facebook is creating content for your target customer. So if you want to bring in customers that are doing business events, then create posts about your business customers, showing us the business decor you can do. If you want to bring in weddings, I want to see weddings all over your profile. Things for wedding planners, things for other vendors who are working in weddings. Show me your work on weddings. Tailor your content to the people you want to bring in, and they'll find you on social media.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks so much. Balloon Suite helps boost your sales, solve everyday problems, and keeps you on track to reach your goals. Check out the link to Balloon Suite in the show notes wherever you're listening or head right to balloonsuite.com. All right, welcome back. You guys are connected with TUFTEX. You don't work for them. You are part of their color crew, which real quick, what is the color crew? We see that on Instagram. Is it like a partnership, an ambassador? Like what does that do for each other?
So the color crew, do you want to speak about the color crew?
So the color crew is sort of like a squad of artists who are all in different like walks of life in their balloon industry and artistry that have come together to sort of represent TUFTEX in different ways. It's a mutual kind of partnership and opportunity because the artist gets some perks, right? So they'll be able to test out new products, be considered for like teaching opportunities and opportunities with the brand. And likewise, the brand is obviously benefiting from the artist showcasing their balloons with their creation. So
they're sort of like mutual beneficial. The brand and the artists. Yeah.
So the root of it is you love the product.
Correct.
Correct.
And I
Yeah.
think like if you know anything about TUFTEX or you've met Allison, you've met Meg, they're very like chill. They're very and that's kind of like the best way to describe them. They're just like very chill. They respect people's boundaries. They are all about like the creativity, and they pour into the people that I think show love to TUFTEX in a very organic and authentic way, and not necessarily like very forceful or structured in that regard. I think like as color crew members, and I think as team TUFTEX, we always have a lot of creative freedom, and we value that and love that in the partnership. So
Yeah. Well, and they're doing the TUFTEX Experience again. I'm going. I don't know if you guys know. I don't think I've told you. I'm excited. I get to go. I'm going to do some live podcasting. So maybe we can do an IRL interview. I'm excited. But I missed out on the first one. You guys were there. How are you involved? How will you be kind of part of this event?
So the first one, it was
Amazing.
absolutely amazing. You know, I think one thing about the TUFTEX Experience that sets it apart from any other conference is that they're very into the experience. I mean, that's what it's called, the experience.
Yeah.
But more so that the attendees have a really good experience out of it. Not just the teaching and the learning from balloon and business aspect of any of those things. That's very important, but also having a good time.
Yeah.
You know, the social events are absolutely amazing. They are fire. I might be a little biased, but it's true. You can ask anybody that went there. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah. And the next one, 2025, will be just as good,
amazing, if not better.
I'm excited.
I think definitely lessons that were learned from the first experience will be brought into the second experience. I think it will be better by definition, by it becoming true, right? So we're really excited. We're going to be part of the experience as instructors, but also again we'll be decorating one of the major nights, which we're really, really psyched about and excited. We don't have all the details just yet.
I don't know if I can really share the stuff that we have. I don't know if it's going to be a surprise, but it's going to be the final night. It's going to be dope. It's going to be amazing. I can tell you that.
Exciting.
We loved the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It was like a true test to our abilities. We had some amazing friends come and join us and help us. I gotta say, we had a 1 hour setup.
I gotta give a quick shout out here to Lily from the Creative Heart Studio and Jam from Garden Place Balloons.
We had Yandira. We had a bunch of people.
We had a bunch of people helping us, but I gotta say, you should have seen like poor Lily running with a garland from one another building to the next so we can set it up, and her husband also helping us. God, yeah. I'm standing on a ladder because we had very limited time to set this up. They didn't close the museum during the day, so they gave us like 2 hours to set up this huge museum, 3 levels.
They closed at 5 and the event was at 6:30.
That's what I'm saying. We also had to get ready. So we were literally running in the place to set this up. So without the help, we could not have pulled it off. I gotta be honest. So we have amazing friends we love, and without them, we couldn't have made it happen. But it was amazing, you know. So we're really excited for 2025. Yeah.
That's awesome. So am I. I can't wait. And I think that's what was so apparent on Instagram, you know, those of us that weren't there, seeing, you know, yes, I mean, some really amazing balloon stuff, but the fun, you know, it just looked really fun. And I think it's like we work really freaking hard. So it's like you want to go and learn, but you want to have a good time. Like you want it to be a working vacation is how I see conventions. You know, I'm like, if this doesn't look like a good time, I don't think I'm going to prioritize it.
I think like you're always going to learn at these opportunities, but I think having very unique, very thought out opportunities to also connect with other peers is really important, because when you walk out of that experience, you get to have those connections, and you can use those connections for your business as well, right? Like, let's compare, or let's talk about, let's do this, and
or like when you need a team. Like all the people that I bring in for large installs are people I've met in person at live events. Like that's where I know people.
And they're great for networking. And this is why I tell attendees, you have to take advantage. You have to know who's sitting next to you, who's on the left, who's on the right. You have the name, the number, where they're from. They might be from the West Coast, you're from the East Coast, but you can help each other. And that's how we have grown our circle of friends. You have to network. That's what these events are for. So I think TUFTEX does it really great, where they allow students, because it's hard to network if you're sitting on a class, right? You know, trying to learn at the same time. But having this event where you get to see those folks that you were attending class with and be able to chat with them, perhaps exchange numbers, And, just being able to connect with somebody at a personal level helps you, because you can call that person that's in maybe another state, but be like, hey, have you ever done this before? What should I do here?
I think too, not just thinking about it like on a peer-to-peer, but also this is a unique opportunity for you to show yourself to brands, people who create balloon products that we use. I'm not gonna say that the relationship. I will say this, right? Instagram doesn't pay. Like, just having followers is not paying you.
Yeah.
It does help you because the opportunities that you get from that reach, right, come from these companies, right?
Yeah.
But on a small, like, when you step back, you have to build those relationships with those companies independently. And if you're investing money into going to a person, like an in-person experience, a conference, whatever, make sure you connect with those brands, that you showcase yourself, that you make yourself memorable. And like I could say, we met Pro Tapes in person that way. We met TUFTEX also in a personal experience too.
Because we do get questions a lot, and I think the first step is being able to connect with that person
and building the relationship.
And building a relationship. You can't email a company out of nowhere. They don't know who you are, and I don't know if anybody's going to be able to get you or take you serious. It's different when you have a personal connection. So you got to take advantage of this event to connect with those representatives on a personal level, so that you can make the connection with the company,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it goes the other way too. I think it's important for companies to be listening when you're there. That's how they get a feedback. That's how I think they see when it's like, we're like, oh, you should make this kind of balloon. When you're in person being like, see, right now, this thing I'm doing, if this existed from your brand, I would buy it. Speaking of which, I actually interviewed Allison right before this interview, and her episode will come out before yours, but hearing about all of the new product that they have coming and the colors in every size, and now the 260s. I mean, I think it's going to be a really exciting year to be there. So I'm excited I get to join. Let's take one final break, and then we'll wrap up on our fun questions. I'm not sure if I asked you guys these the last time we talked, so you might have some new answers.
And I've been hearing all the podcasts, and I'm like, I didn't get these questions.
Now is your time. Now is your time. All right, let's take one quick break and then wrap it up with our final 3 questions. Before we wrap up this week's episode, I wanted to let you know that the 2025 Bright Balloon Business Planner is now available on Amazon. I created this planner a few years back when I was looking to purchase a planner to set my business goals, and everything I found was way too overwhelming. It included everything from a monthly schedule to your kids' soccer practice schedule to your grocery list. It was way too much. So I created something very simple and straightforward, simply for your business, for setting realistic goals and tracking your important numbers. So if that is something that will help you in your business, like it's helped me, it's available now. You can search on Amazon for the Bright Balloon Business Planner, or click the link in the show notes wherever you're listening. I hope it helps. All right, welcome back. The final 3. I'm tossing them at you. I didn't give you any time to prep, but you said you've heard these before, so maybe you have some answers prepared. The first question is, where's your favorite place to go on vacation?
Cancun.
1000%.
How often do you go?
We go at least once a year.
Every year for the last
5 or 6 years.
No more. We started going before the baby came, and I know this is 6.
Yeah.
For the last 6, 7 years.
So you like going back to the same place, or do you stay at different places when you're there?
We go to different
We have never stayed at the same hotel twice. There is over 300 hotels in Cancun. Why not experience something new every time I go?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, but
yeah, we do have had bad hotels, I'm not gonna lie, but it's always great to go to Cancun, so we love it.
Nice. All right, next question. This is the one that stumps people. What's something that you've purchased or been gifted, or just something that you have, like a physical thing, that you've been loving lately? I'm Christmas shopping right now, so if you give me an idea, I'll be grateful.
Something that...
Mine is motherhood related.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
My breast pump. It's like my best friend.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This is total TMI, but what kind do you have?
I have the Spectra, the Synergy Gold. It has the 2 motors, which is great because you can control the speed at different rates.
So funny, because a year ago I would have been like, I don't care. And now I'm like, tell me everything. As someone who just finished nursing, I'm like, it was a journey, we'll just say. It's no joke.
I didn't nurse my first one, and I really wanted to nurse this baby. And can I tell you, no matter what anyone says, the first month is really rough. It's
Yeah.
like really rough. And I think having the right tools and knowing that like I needed to have a specific size flange and blah blah blah.
Oh my
And
God.
like
I was
all
in
those
like
little
Facebook
details.
groups and Instagram groups. Like it's a whole culture. And because it's something you have to
Yeah.
learn like literally overnight. And you're just like, this is the
Yeah.
worst and
And
impossible.
I think
Oh, I know
culturally,
mine. I know
culturally,
mine.
you just believe that your baby is gonna get it and you're gonna produce like a ton of milk and everything is gonna work. It's a lot of work.
Exactly.
It's not
Yeah.
intuitive.
It is a job.
You
It
think
is a
it is,
job
but
for
it's
sure.
not.
All right, Eddie, what's yours? Is it also a breast pump?
So my desktop is set up with two monitors, right? However, when you have, I do all the accounting. So when I'm
Okay.
like reconcile or doing things where I need to see a document when I'm doing something else at the same time, I do have to go from screen to screen with the same mouse. So I have to do both functions with one hand. Now with
Okay.
the iPad, this is something that I try new. I set it up next to me, and I'm able to see the document on the iPad. And with this hand, I can go through it, and I can. It's just it gives me an extra
Oh,
3 minutes. I do
interesting.
a little quicker. So rather than having the two screens, having an iPad where it's kind of like a separate device, and I'm
Yeah.
able to interact with one hand on this device and another hand on the other device. Sounds a little techy, but it's just it makes me do it a little faster when I'm
No,
doing my
that's very
numbers.
specific. I'm sure that helped someone listening. Like that's like a very specific need that I'm sure someone's like, that's me. I'm gonna get an iPad. Good
So
solution.
yeah, I had an iPad when I was like in college, and I never bought another one. Got some because what happened we opened in the boutique. We got two iPads, so I was like, let me use it for my accounting. And something that it took me maybe 2 hours to do, honestly, I was able to accomplish in like an hour because now I was able to just speed through it, and
Yeah.
it was a little easier than having to do a
Look at that.
monitor. Just a little techie stuff. Sorry.
Cool. No, I love it. All right, last question is what is a simple piece of business advice that you would offer our listeners?
Um, in this industry, this is something because I'm not. We have a lot of artists. I am not an artist. My wife is the creative director. But something that I have seen time and time is that a lot of us in our balloon businesses make decisions without knowing our numbers, and I always go back to
Of
numbers.
course.
You need to honestly, this is something very important because I do see businesses fail, and I see people opening an Instagram page, going and doing it, trying to start the business. They go for 6 months, a year, and then they disappear because the business didn't work out. You have to understand finances, right? One thing, and also depends on how you want to do it. If this is a hobby, then it's a hobby. But if you want this to be a business, you have to get paid, and the business have to make money. There's two different things. One thing is you're getting paid, another thing is your business being profitable. So
Yeah.
you need to know your expenses to the cent. You need to separate your expenses from your personal and your business, and you need to be very certain. You have to know how much money you need to run your business every month, but you know why you need to keep it up, and hopefully eventually you'll get it profitable. It's not gonna be profitable day one. That's another thing. You're not gonna make money the first month, the first 6 months, maybe the first year, but you need to understand your numbers.
And being profitable doesn't mean not getting paid. Is that
You could
No.
get paid, and your business might not be profitable. You could be making a $50,000 salary a year, but how much is your business making?
Yeah.
It's two different things because the profit of the business is what's going to allow you to grow the business and increase its potential to make more profit.
Yeah.
My advice is more like mental health related. For me, I think it's please take time to celebrate the small victories. I think I'm also someone who does this, but like I've learned through my time that it's not healthy to just work, 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 and obviously it's good to have those big goals, but also celebrate the smaller goals that you do accomplish on a day-to-day basis. Even if it is like today I got this done, like make sure that you celebrate those things for yourself because burnout is real, and if you're not, this could turn into something that you don't love very quickly, even though you started doing this as something that you love.
Yeah.
So yeah, just check in with yourself and then make sure that you celebrate those little things.
Love
That's my
it.
advice.
Well, as always, it was such a fun conversation. Congratulations on your baby and your new
Thank
business
Thank
you.
you.
baby. And good luck. We will
Yes.
definitely do a follow-up in a year. Let's put it on the
Yes.
calendar and see how retail life is
Yes.
going.
Let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
Perfect. And I will see you guys in July at the TUFTEX
Yes.
Experience.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you for having us.
And we always tune in too.
And
Oh,
congrats on
I
the podcast.
appreciate
You're
it.
doing really well. We love it.
I
Thank
love
you.
it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. Our presenting sponsor is 17 Hats, the CRM I use to cut the chaos and manage my entire balloon business. From the lead capture form on my website to workflows and email templates, invoicing and grab-and-go garland automated bookings, it's all powered by 17 Hats, the best customer relationship management system for balloon businesses. There's even a 50% off coupon code waiting for you in the show notes wherever you're listening. I'll see you next week in another episode.